applause for the next governor. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Daniel Doe and Ann Trudeau, please can stand up. Without these people, we wouldn't have the event here, right? I'm the guy that's standing up here and talk. That's the easiest job there is. But I know stand up, and now do a pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Organizations that's part of the Vietnamese communities, and a few other ones, or special guests as well. One is the Washington, D.C. Maryland area. Please stand up. Thank you very much. And the next one is Hoi Ao Yai, Washington, D.C. Same group. Look how old they are, and recognize that they're joining two organizations. Also, so now let's move forward. I'm going to introduce Mr. Andrew Green. He's the founder of Students of America. And so you might say, why is this guy talking today? Because I would when I first heard it. But I want to let you know that Andrew has been closely involved behind the scene, help organize, recruit, encourage the Vietnamese American communities as well, and work closely with Trevor Benson as well. And again, as I mentioned to you, some of these people you've never heard of or dealt with, but they are working day in, day out to help make an effort and change the direction of Virginia. And with that, I want to please give him a round of applause and come on up and say your word.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. You know, it's an honor. Thank you so much to Youngkin Campaign for allowing me to come and speak. It's an honor to be at the Eden Center. You know, I grew up on a farm in the mountains of North Carolina. All I knew was the Appalachian culture, but when I moved up to this area, I found so many things fascinating about this area. And one of the things was the Vietnamese people and the Eden Center. And what I found fascinating was they have a culture built on honor, on standing up for what they believe in. And I'm glad to have freedom fighters in this building today, people that stand up for their values. You know, the thing that impresses me the most is the people. You know, I've talked to many people here today that told me that they've come from places where they've had to deal with communism firsthand. I've been blessed to grow up in this country. I've been blessed to grow up in a place where I've not had to deal with communism firsthand. But some of you, the word fighter resonates with you because you fought it in your home countries. And now you come here, you could have took a back seat, but you didn't. You come here on a Saturday because you believe in fighting, you believe in standing up for a fighter, you believe in standing up for this country. And that's why I'm glad to be here, honored to be here. I represent an organization called Students for America, and we're fighters too. You know, we fight on college campuses. We try to get conservatives involved, their voices uplifted on college campuses across this country. You know, there was a poll that was done in 2019 that found that 73% of students hide their opinions because they're afraid of expressing their beliefs. and we're here to be a fighter for them. We're here to provide a group for them to help uplift their voice. And I'm so proud to be working with the Vietnamese community. If you have freedom fighters that you know, college students that are going to campus, please connect them to us as Students for America. We would love to get them involved. We've got a generation to save. We've got a country to save. We've got a state to save. And I'm glad to be working with fighters like you, with freedom fighters like our next governor. And it's an honor. Thank you for allowing me to speak today.
Well, I guess you know why I asked him to speak, right? Quite uplifting and encouraging. Yes, and I did not include that, so I apologize. So, Ann has asked me to also recognize all the business owners in the areas, and at the Eden Centers and other areas as well. For those that want to be recognized, please stand up. All right, maybe you already stand up in the back. Thank you. All right, so with that in mind, I'm going to introduce our previous congressman in the 11th Congressional District. He just corrected me before we start, because I said, would this location be the 11th Congressional District? And he said, no. But if you walk across the street right here, that would be my district, right? But he's also very, very supportive of the community, especially the Vietnamese communities. He was was on the Board of Supervisors in 1980. Also became the chairman of the board of Fairfax County in 1991, I believe, or 1991, and finished it in 1994. Ran for Congress, won it in 1995, and remained a congressman till 2008. After that, he continued on and worked for multiple companies, but also currently he's a rector of the George Mason University. What that means is he's always around, continue to be around, be supportive of the community, and supportive of our next governor of Commonwealth of Virginia. Here he is, Tom Davis.
Cảm ơn, kính chào quý vị. Thank you all for being here. I am Tom Davis, and I did represent this area for 29 years on the county board and in Congress. And recognizing this community was very special to me. America is a nation of immigrants. All of our ancestors came from somewhere. But you could have gone to Paris and lived your life in France, but you'd never be a Frenchman. You could have gone to Spain and lived your life in Madrid or Barcelona, you'd never be a Spaniard. But anybody can come to the United States and become an American. And what the Vietnamese community has done is they have added to this community, they have added to America, they have been successful, and we welcome you and are very proud to have you here and honor what you have done. One of my accomplishments as a member of the county board was starting a high school out here called Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology, which until last year, 70% of the entering class was Asian. The other party, the Democrats, think that's too great. So they have now changed the rules and have cut that number almost in half. Taking away from the meritocracy and the hard work that people read and the rules they have followed to get in. I like Glenn Youngkin. Glenn is an entrepreneur. He has created businesses, hundreds of businesses across the globe. He understands the economy, he understands what it takes a small business, and he understands the importance of education in terms of challenging people, bringing talent, putting together and making this a strong country and a strong state. I am confident with him as our next governor, we're going to continue to move Virginia forward. We're going to continue to make great opportunities for your children and your grandchildren. He's an outsider. He's not part of the political morass that you see around of people backbiting with each other. He's really above partisanship. He's running as a Republican, but he wants to bring us together, something that this country badly needs. So let me introduce our next governor, Glenn Youngkin.
Good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank all of you for being here, because You being here means that in your heart is a love for Virginia. That's what this means, and a love for America. So thank you, because that's why I'm here too. Is because I love Virginia too. I, in fact, was born here, and was born in Richmond. And in 7th grade, my dad lost his job. And that happens. That happens to families. In fact, sadly, last year, 1.5 million Virginians filed for first-time unemployment benefits in Virginia. I felt that was actually unnecessary, and our governor did not manage the pandemic well. He, in fact, kept businesses closed too long and schools closed too long, and many people suffered unnecessarily as a result. When my father lost his job in 7th grade, my family moved. And we moved from Richmond to Virginia Beach. And that's where we started again. And I got a job when I was 15, working in a diner, taking out the trash and washing the dishes. And oh, by the way, I was very proud to have that job. There's dignity in work. Hard work matters. Hard work matters. That is a core principle in my life that I have never lost. And that's why I am so excited to be running, to be the governor of Virginia, to go work for all of you. Someone asked me recently, are you excited about the prospects of living in the governor's mansion? I said, I've never seen it. I'm most excited and most humbled to be going to work for all of you. I want you to hire me to do the job of governor so that we can get this Commonwealth moving. Now we have a big moment because Virginians are going to vote this fall, and this election is going to determine the future of Virginia for a long, long time. For a long time. Because what we have seen over the course of the last 8 years is that elections have consequences. Who we elect matters. And what we have seen particularly now that we have the Democrats in charge of our House of Delegates, in charge of our Senate, and yes, in our governor's office, we've seen Virginia veer in the wrong direction and start looking more and more and more like California. And if we wanted to live in California, we would be in California. But we do not want to live in California. We chose Virginia. And so this election will matter. Who we choose will matter. My opponent, whose name is Terry McAuliffe, stood up one day when he accepted his nomination to be my opponent and said, Virginia is very different today than it was 8 years ago. And I laughed and I said, it is different. You've made it worse. You've made it worse. And Virginians see this as well. Because all of us get to make this decision. And right now, this race is neck and neck. It's effectively tied. I've been doing this for 25 weeks. My opponent has been doing it for 43 years. He has been a political operative, a politician, a fixer. And that's what he's been doing his whole career. My career has been different. I, in fact, after I finished washing dishes and taking out the trash, I became the cook. I spend my Sunday mornings after church cooking for my family. That's where I started. Education changed everything for me. And I had a chance to go to college on a basketball scholarship. That's how I got there. And I'm an engineer through school. Education changed everything for me. And education will change everything for Virginians. When I came back to Virginia, because I went to school in Houston, Texas, my wife Suzanne and I came back to Virginia 27 years ago. And we made our home in Fairfax County. And what I did over that 27 years was I went to work for a small company very small company, 25 people. And it grew to be a big company. And I had the amazing blessing of having the chance to run it for a while. And that was my dream job. Here I was, a kid who was taking out trash and washing dishes, having a chance to run a big company. But last summer, I became increasingly worried and scared for Virginia's future. And I also was very upset with the Republican Party because we haven't won in Virginia for a very long time, since 2009. And if we cannot have a competitive Republican Party who can win, then the Democrats, the left, liberal, progressive side of the Democrat Party is going to continue to make Virginia the California of the East. And so I asked my wife if she would support me, and I was going to quit my job and go run for governor. And she looked at me and said, "Are you having a midlife crisis?" And we cried together, and we prayed together. And we committed ourselves to this. And the next day I left my job, and we got ready to run for governor. So here we are. Here we are running for governor against a guy who was already governor. And he had his chance. He had his chance. You don't get a do-over in this world. At least not when you're governor. He didn't do a very good job. And here he comes back again and is asking you all and me to hire him again as governor. Well, I think the best jobs program that Virginia can have right now is to make sure that Terry McAuliffe does not have one. That's what I think the best jobs program. We have very serious issues to pay attention to. Very serious issues. And this election will decide the direction we go. We must create better jobs for all Virginians. All Virginians. And we, in fact, should be the best state at creating jobs, and we're not. The states around us, Maryland, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, over the last 8 years, their economies have grown much faster than Virginia. And particularly Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia have created many more jobs. Many more jobs. Those jobs should have been Virginia's jobs. But our governor, Terry McAuliffe, did not do a good job building the economy and building jobs. And we can fix this. Particularly small business. Because what we've seen over the last 18 months is a McAuliffe-Northam administration actually doesn't help small business. 25% of the businesses in Virginia either closed permanently or closed for a period of time last year. And we have to get those businesses back open and running fast. And the best way we're going to do this is, in fact, to get rid of all of the red tape, the regulations, the paperwork, the bureaucracy that has been poured on small business. We absolutely should give small business a tax break to allow them to get back on their feet and run. Because this is good for all Virginians. And you will have a governor in me that knows how to build business and create jobs. Unlike my opponent, who for 43 years has been a political operative. We must teach our children how to think, not what to think. Our school systems have been failing our kids. When we build this rip-roaring economy with more jobs than people can take, we have to prepare our children to take them. And this is one of the great failings of Terry McAuliffe. When he was governor, he actually reduced the metrics, the standards by which schools were being held accountable for. so that in fact the schools could be accredited actually by performing worse. Our children were no longer held to the same standards. And this is the quiet bigotry of low expectations. Virginia's schools should be the best, and they're not. We should in fact hold our schools to the highest standards. We should allow our children to run as fast as they can. We should make sure that they are taught accelerated math and they can earn advanced diplomas. This is the cool school system that will prepare Virginia's children to take those jobs. And let's be clear, we will not teach critical race theory in our schools when I am governor. Critical race theory divides us as opposed to unites us. And the most important thing we will do moving forward as Americans and as Virginians is actually working together in order to achieve together, as opposed to dividing us and actually telling children that they can't accomplish their dreams, as opposed to telling them they must accomplish their dreams. Friends, the school systems in Virginia must be invested in. Thomas Jefferson School should be a meritocracy. And to get into Thomas Jefferson School, you should have to show that you are one of the best students. And for students who may not have the same resources to prepare for Thomas Jefferson School, we should help them. Because all children have the capacity. We should help them get there. Friends, we will get our education moving. High standards, more investment, and finally, school choice. We will prepare more charter schools, more government schools, and we will provide parents with school choice, because a child's destiny should not be determined by his or her zip code. Parents should have a say of where their child goes to school. One of the realities over the last 8 years is our communities are less safe than they were 8 years ago. I hear it everywhere I go. We're not as safe as we used to be. When my opponent was governor, the murder rate in Virginia went up 43%. Today, Virginia is at a 20-year high in murder rate. The reality is that we must invest in law enforcement. We actually have to invest in better equipment, better training. We need to provide better careers for our law enforcement heroes. We actually have to stand up for law enforcement and have them engage in our communities as part of our communities. But defunding law enforcement and demoralizing law enforcement is resulting in less capable law enforcement. When I'm your governor working for all of you, we will work to get Virginia's communities safe again. If we do not have safe houses of worship, safe shopping centers, safe schools, we won't have safe communities that will make Virginia the best place to live and work and raise a family. This is why I get out of bed every morning. Because this is the future of Virginia. Coming together so that we have the best jobs, the best schools, the safest communities, so that in fact we can all live our dreams. Because that's why we're here. That's why we're here. And right now we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to come together and choose a new way forward. Yes, a governor, a lieutenant governor, Winsome Sears, an attorney general, Jason Miyares, a Republican-controlled House of Delegates. And we can reestablish balance. We can, in fact, put Virginia back where she belongs as the best state in America to live and work and raise a family. This is not, however, in my hands. It's not up to me. It's up to all of you. It's up to all of you. You will choose. I ask for your support. I ask for your vote. Hire me to go work for you. And that's exactly what I will do. Finally, we need your help. We need your help. We need you to get a yard sign and put it in your front yard. We need you to find 10 friends each, 10 each, to actually join the campaign effort and to vote for us. We need you to volunteer in your community to say, I met Glenn. I support Glenn. You should too. 10 friends. Each of you finds 10 friends, and then you ask them to find 10 friends. We will win. We will win. Friends, we're gonna win. Virginians are speaking up. This is not about Republicans against Democrats. It's not. This is about all of us standing up and saying that the liberal left progressive agenda, which is absolutely dragging Virginia to a place we don't want to go, California, is not for us. And we together, as Virginians, are going to vote a different direction. So I want to thank you. Thank you for getting to know me and our campaign. Thank you for loving Virginia. Thank you for dreaming big dreams. Thank you for loving your children the way I love mine. And thank you for supporting us and getting Virginia moving. We can get this done. Let's just go do it. Thanks, everybody.
You have to stay right here. Guys, talk. Also. All right, so now is time to ask any questions that you have for Glenn. We're going to take 2 or 3 questions. Oh, okay, good. We have questions. Otherwise, I would pull out my tough one. So, go ahead.
What's your thought?
Tell me your first name first.
I'm Jamie Nguyen with the SPTN Vietnamese News. I would like to know what's your thought on the immigration issues that we have right now.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Perfect. Okay, so the question was general thoughts on immigration. So let me back up first and make a very clear statement. I'm very supportive of legal immigration in America. It is the backbone of America. There we go. Full stop. My friend Jason Miar, his mother, came here from Cuba. She's a naturalized citizen. She had a chance to vote for Ronald Reagan and vote for her son in the oldest democracy in the Western Hemisphere. That's immigration. Our other running mate, Winsome Sears, who's running for lieutenant governor, her family came from Jamaica, and they lived the American dream. That's immigration. Friends, immigration is very important to America's future. I'm heartbroken by what's happening at the border. Heartbroken. It's a human tragedy. It's a human tragedy, and that human tragedy has been caused by Washington. Has been caused by Washington. And they're not dealing with it. We, in fact, sadly see children handed over the wall. Children. Hundreds of thousands. And we must deal with this. We must deal with it. Sadly, I don't see our government in Washington deal with it. And Governor Abbott in Texas is having to deal with it. So I think we do need secure borders. We need legal immigration. And as your governor, I'll support our immigration laws. I'm going to go back where I started. Legal immigration is so important to America's future. And as your governor, I will support it. So thank you.
Thailand. My name is Tom. You mentioned that you will create more government schools. I hope there will be many more in this area. TJ is a magnet STEM high school. Will you create a magnet high school for liberal arts?
Yes, great question. Great question. Thank you. I want to reiterate, TJ is a spectacular, spectacular governor school. And in fact, we need to maintain admissions policies that are based on a meritocracy. I said it earlier, I want to make sure everybody heard me. We must help students who may not have the resources that they need to prepare for that admissions process. I believe Virginia's schools suffer on many fronts as I walk through it. Number one is we need more charter schools. Virginia has 8 charter schools. North Carolina has 190. Maryland has over 100. Virginia has 8. This is actually a reflection of the education unions not wanting any competition. And competition is a good thing for our school systems. So we will press forward with charter schools and lab schools and innovation schools. We will press forward with school choice. And I absolutely believe that more governor schools are part of that equation. And I do believe a liberal arts focused governor school is a great idea. I've asked our whole team to actually start putting together plans for this. This is where we in fact can recognize that students learn at different rates and have different dreams and aspirations. And we should provide avenues for all of them. And while I'm here for a minute, Matt, I want to mention one more thing. Many, many, many students may not want to go to a 4-year college right away. And therefore, we have to prepare those students in high school to be ready for a career and for life. And there are so many jobs that are available today for a student who chooses to go to a community college or vocational school and receive a different kind of training than a 4-year college immediately. And we have to open up those avenues. My wife and I started a program last summer called Virginia Ready. And it was set up in order to really supply alternative training to so many people that lost their jobs last year. And what we found was that in manufacturing, in IT, in healthcare, and in logistics, there were tens of thousands of jobs that were good paying jobs with benefits, with a career in these high growth sectors. And all you needed was a credential from your community college that would take 6 to 12 weeks to get on top of your high school diploma. And you could get those jobs. And so there are so many avenues for our children, for Virginians. But we have to reform our education. We have to provide alternative paths for people so that every child can run as fast as they can. And every child can live their dream and live it right here in Virginia. So thank you for that great question.
All right, one more question.
Good afternoon, Mr. John. My name is Khan, and before I start, I would like to share a little story this morning at a swimming club, and I saw a young African-American kid. She stood up and she sang beautifully the national anthem. And suddenly everybody stood up and everybody paid respect to the flag and the national anthem. And that is what the picture of America when I was a refugee on the way to escape the communism came to this country. And I see that picture now is fading away because I left. The second about education. You already answered this question. But for me, I think security is the most important thing. Without security, you cannot have good education. Without security, you don't have family and build up the society. So we now, like you share, we see like the crime going up, and the way they handle like the crime is terribly. And if you go for the government, can you share more in detail what you're going to do to help to reduce crime and build up the security, make sure that everybody, not just the color of them, feel free to speak out, to feel free to walk on the street and proudly say what they want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. At some point I'd love to visit with you and hear your story. So thank you, because we all dream our own version of the American dream, and I can't wait to hear yours, because it seems like you're living it. And being safe and feeling secure is the reason why so many people want to be in America, so that they can have the opportunities. And if we do not have safe communities, as I said, if we don't have safe houses of worship and safe shopping centers and safe schools, we will not be able to live our American dream. So we have a number of things we have to do. First thing we have to do is recognize that we must change programs for police. What do I mean by that? We must fund more money in.
Yes.
We must fund more money in. I believe in common sense. Defunding police, it makes no sense. Funding police makes sense. This is true. We must increase salaries. We must fund new equipment. We must fund training so that they can in fact be the best police force in the country. Second thing we have to do is protect the legal framework around police. There's an idea called qualified immunity. It's qualified, meaning that if a police officer is doing their job according to their training, they cannot be sued in court. If they don't do their job, if they have dereliction of duty, if they have violated the way they're supposed to do their job, they can be held and should be held fully accountable.
Yes.
But qualified immunity is very important to law enforcement because it allows them to feel confident that they aren't going to have frivolous lawsuits placed against them. My opponent wants to get rid of qualified immunity. I will preserve qualified immunity. If we lose qualified immunity, there will be mass retirements, mass resignations with police officers. Jason and I were just with a police commissioner at a county south of here. And he said if we lose qualified immunity, we will have mass resignations. Because people can't afford to lose their home or lose their life savings. They put their life on the line every day. They shouldn't be asked to put everything they own on the line every day as well, particularly their family security. Finally, we have to change culture. Sadly, police do not feel like we support them. We must support them. And as your governor, and I know Jason as your Attorney General, and I know all of you will work with us to support law enforcement and to let them know that we have their back because they have ours. So we must first change the way we in fact are funding law enforcement. We must protect the legal framework around them, and then we have to stand up for them so that they know we appreciate them. This will change things. This will change things. And we will have safe communities again. Thank you.
You like what you heard so far? Yeah? One more? Yeah? Okay, there we go.
Hello, my name is Mary Ray. I'm the precinct captain of Homewood, Mason District. I have the opportunity to work in the past for former Congressman Davis when he was in Mason District. Okay, that's one to say, and I would like to know what you're going to do about the cancel culture and also the attack on the Bill of Rights. as well as you already said that the socialist leaning of the Democratic Party on us. Thank you.
By the way, thank you so much for working for the congressman. Thank you for serving your community. This is what it's all about. It's about going to work for each other all the time. So thank you. We, in fact, have seen a fundamental erosion of our liberty. Liberty that is, in my belief system, actually first given by God and then written down in our Constitution and our Bill of Rights. And we have to stand up for that Constitution and our Bill of Rights. My opponent, Terry McAuliffe, agrees with Joe Biden, who, by the way, came to campaign with him yesterday because he knows he's about to lose and he had to call in somebody to help. But he agrees with Joe Biden. Joe Biden said, these amendments to our Constitution are not absolute. Friends, be clear. They are absolute. They are the foundation of this country. They are why we, in fact, have our liberty and our freedom to live our own dreams as opposed to being told by government what we should do. We must protect our constitutional rights. My opponent went a step further and he said so-called religious liberty is not a basis for legislation. So-called religious liberty, enshrined in our First Amendment to the Constitution, is our religious freedom. To exercise that religious freedom how we want to. And my opponent doesn't believe in it. Well, please, let me make myself perfectly clear. I will stand up for our constitutional rights. I will stand up for liberty. And I know my partner, Jason Miyares, and our Lieutenant Governor, Winsome Sears, will be right there with me to make sure that all Virginians are guaranteed the liberty that is so fundamental to this great country. So thank you for that question.
Well, thank you so much. So, no, you're welcome. Thank you for being here. So I want to, first of all, finish it up before I even forget. Also, is after all the thank you, we would like to invite you to come up and take a picture with Glenn, Jason, and other candidates as well. Right? So with that in mind, tôi cảm ơn các ông, các bà, các chú, các bác, các anh chị em tới ngày hôm nay. Thank you so much for coming. And then also all the organizations here. I forgot to thank the media to be here, and I assume it's not fake, right?
No problem.
Oh, some of them. Right.
No fake news.
It's fake news.
No fake news.
Not fake media, it's fake news.
All right, well, I got to throw something in there. So I also want to thank all the organization, and also thank you very much for the questions. I mean, you know, you saved me. I thought I had some tough question, but turns out you guys got some tough ones here.
They actually asked the important ones.
Yeah, very important. And I'm also very impressed that Glenn was able to, you know, got it all through. So totally impressed with that. And just so you know, we would like to invite you again. Would you guys want to come back? Maybe September for a bigger event?
Yeah. Everybody's going to bring 10 friends.
Yeah, that's right. If each one of you bring 10 friends, which is like 10-fold. Right? And yes, we have a location. Okay. So thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it. And I want to thank the speakers here, Andrew, Congressman Davis, and Jason. Why don't you stand up? Sorry. Here's our next speaker. All right. Now, I'm going to go off script for a second because a lot of you are ready to go, and I think we're right about time for you to do your meeting as well, right outside. So, if you're okay with 1 minute, you can have the floor, Jason. Come on.
No, I think we should. I think they would love to meet you.
All right, come on up.
I'm Jason Yares. The name's a little unique. It's Cuban. So I'd be the first Attorney General in 225 years in Virginia to be the child of an immigrant. So if your family came here seeking hope and opportunity, there's a really good chance that your family is a lot like the Miares family. It'd be the biggest honor of my life to be your Attorney General. So as Glenn noted, my mother fled Cuba. She herself lived 5+ years in the horrors of Castro's little socialist paradise. I'm being sarcastic. Communism in Cuba. And she left in the fall of 1965, in October of 65. And almost 50 years to the day that she left, she was able to walk into a voting booth and get a ballot with her son's name on it to be able to vote for me to represent her in the oldest democracy in the Western Hemisphere, the House of Delegates. That's what I call the America miracle. And one of the things that made my mother so successful in this country is when she came here, she wasn't looking over her shoulder in fear. You know, my uncle got arrested at Bay of Pigs and suffered the humiliation of a mock execution, all because he was speaking out against the communist powers. But you know, when you come here and you lose everything, your biggest desire is one day your children can achieve dreams that you had taken away from you. That's the American story. And it would be the biggest honor of my life. One of my favorite stories from President Reagan, who I'm very partial to, my earliest memories was teaching my mother the Pledge of Allegiance, because she didn't know it. She had to learn it to become a U.S. citizen. And then her taking me with her to vote in her first election. She was 38 years old. Imagine that being the first time you could actually cast a ballot. She was 38. And it was for Ronald Reagan in '84. But there's a story that President Reagan used to say about after the fall of Saigon, where you would have people fleeing that horrific regime. And one of the refugees in the boats, they ran into a Navy destroyer. And a young boy looked up and saw a naval officer, and he said, "Hello, Mr. Navy man. Hello, Freedom man." So anybody who has served, and I see we have someone here today, thank you for the freedom men and women that have made this the last best hope. I love to say America is a nation of second chances. And I think everybody here understands that. So thank you. It'd be an honor to be your Attorney General. Honor to shake some of your hands afterwards. Thank you so much for being so gracious and hosting this wonderful event. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. I know Jason is extremely busy, so it's a surprise to see him here. And I like that pocket. Yeah. There you go. Well, I'm sure we'll get the Glenn Youngkin's campaign some yellow and red accessories, right? So thank you very much for coming. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your support. We will have a bigger event coming up soon. And then please come on up and take pictures. And again, another tip, taller people in the back, not so tall people to the front. And if you work for the government, you don't want your face in there, do not look at the camera. You see the camera sees you. So please come on up, take one picture, and we're on your way. Yeah. Please come on up.